John's. St. John's struggling a bit lately. Then Minnesota taking on Michigan. It all starts at 11:30 Eastern on Fox, or stream it live on Fox Sports Go. Back here on First Things First, and we are going viral. Leave it to the Jets fans to get creative in the name of winning. One fan tried to lure the soon-to-be free agent Le'Veon Bell to the Jets, saying, quote, "I speak on behalf of the New York Jets. We'll give you $60 million in cash if you come play for us." Well, Bell responded, quote, "That ain't enough to run with the Jets."
Oh, I hadn't seen that. Oh, that's funny. See, that ain't enough to run with the Jets.
I mean,
oh, look at the Photoshop.
Only on Twitter you can reject 60 million cash.
Oh, show that. What is that, Fireman Ed?
Fireman Eddie.
Fireman Ed. Look at him, giving him the stiff arm. Take that. Man, now they're going to have to slide that $60 million over to Kirk Cousins. Said L. Bell, tried that. Now it goes to Kirk Cousins.
I think our Brumley just pointed out he's wearing a Mark Sanchez jersey. Is that what that is?
Brumley pointed it out. I'm bad at players and numbers.
Really?
I'm bad. It's one of the things. I don't remember players and numbers. I know my man Chris Carter wore number 80. Past that, I don't know much. If you would have asked me what number's Le'Veon Bell, I wouldn't have been able to tell you. So I certainly can't tell you what number Mark Sanchez is.
Interesting for the stat guy. Time for some stories to start your morning. What a wild ending to the Thunder Nuggets game. First, well, Paul George hit a three to tie with 2 seconds to go, and then Gary Harris hits a buzzer-beating three. But this is what really was interesting at the very end, when Russell Westbrook shoved a fan who got in his face, walked onto the court. Cece, what do you think about this? I mean, you saw he wasn't restrained. He was on the court, and he shoves him there, gives him a little shove. What do you think about everything that happened? What was your reaction?
Man, it's a dangerous situation when you get into the arena. Now, basketball players, they should be, because they play on a court, they're very close to the fans every single game. But when you're on the other side of the court, especially the storyline, it was an emotional finish right there. Don't be on the court, and especially don't be on the court close to a player. He wouldn't have been at fault if he had been just on the court. But in the close proximity of a player, now, you bought a ticket, all right? Stay in your seat. Stay behind the line. All right, so this was a dangerous situation, more dangerous than people, because you don't know what a guy's going to do.
You don't know what a guy's going to do. That was a big guy, and he got in Russ's face. Like, this wasn't, it'd be one thing if it was just the fan, it was right after a game winner, jumps in jubilation, and it happens to, end up on the court. This was, this was well after the game had ended. Long enough, at least, it wasn't the moment the game ended, and the fan's right there. Russ, I have no problem with him pushing him. None whatsoever. And with that fan, maybe a little, tossed a few back in his, doing that. If Russ had gone a little further, I wouldn't have minded that either, man. That's trespassing. That is Russ's home territory, even though he's on the road.
I'd much rather not talk about what would have happened and if we would have had to defend him. We can defend him because the guy was on the court, but this could have been a lot worse. There's no need for us to put no yeast to it, because don't crowd my space, because I will fire on you. At work, at home,
CC talks about me at Red Rooster. Someone go do that to CC on the D train and see how it works out for you.
Did you say yeast?
He said yeast, yeah.
Cool. Blake Griffin made his Pistons debut yesterday, although, is it me, or is he basically still wearing a Clippers uniform?
Similar colors, Jenna.
Like the same uniform. Blake had 24 points, 10 boards, 5 dimes, and a 104-102 win over the Grizzlies. What do you think about Blake Griffin's debut, Nick?
I was glad that he played well. If people didn't watch this game, very close at the end. Memphis had a shot to win it at the end because of a missed free throw by Detroit. Detroit ends up hanging on. Listen, he's the best player on their team. I think they'll now sneak into the playoffs. Maybe give Stan Van Gundy a slightly longer lease on life. When he's healthy, this is the type of player he is. I was happy for Blake. I was happy for Detroit.
I hope Blake keeps that same type of attitude. And the type of attitude, act as if. And it's hard to do, because when you find out you've been traded on Twitter, it can be gut-wrenching. He thought he had a life in Los Angeles. He doesn't. But if he acted as if Detroit had given him the $170 million compared to the Clippers, because it was. They traded for his contract, so they're giving him the $170 million. They have great basketball fans, except Deontay, who works on the show. But they got great basketball fans.
But
so
other than him.
Give these basketball fans in this organization the same effort attitude that you had last night. I was happy for him.
To the NFL now. Sunday will be Matt Patricia's last game with the Pats. They're reportedly meeting with Greg Schiano about filling the void at defensive coordinator. Schiano has held that position under Urban Meyer at Ohio State since 2016. He was also the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from 2012 through 2013. And to top it all off, he coached Bill Belichick's son, Steven, at Rutgers in 2011. CC, would Schiano be a good fit in New England?
Schiano is a very good football coach. Now, being a Buckeye, it would really hurt the Buckeyes. We lost one of our top recruiters and our defensive back coach to the Tennessee Titans and Mike Vrabel. And then if we lost Greg Schiano, a great coach. When you're Urban Meyer and you have great coaches on your staff, people are going to want them. This is an existing relationship that's lasted for a long time. He teaches football the way Belichick likes, and he also, Belichick trusts him. So I think this would be a huge move because I was very concerned, not only about Matt Patricia, but also Josh McDaniel leaving on the offensive side. So this would fill a huge gap that they have in their organization with him being named defensive coordinator. I wouldn't like it, Greg, because I think you should be a head coach in college football now, but I would be happy with you going to New England.
This could be really good for him, though, because if you remember, he almost was going to be a head coach in college football again, and then there was something of a internet smear campaign led against him because of his time at Penn State, and he lost that opportunity to go coach at Tennessee.
Yeah,
and so
unfortunate.
It was very unfortunate. It felt very unfair. We've known the Patriots and Bill Belichick have a relationship with him, and we've seen the Patriots take a lot of Rutgers players in the past that played for Greg Schiano. So this, if you were to tell me he's going to go to an NFL team, I would have guessed it would be New England. You've told me what a good coach he's been at Ohio State. I take your word for that. I think it'd be a good fit.
Finally, Aaron Rodgers seems a little annoyed at the Packers front office. This after the team decided to make a move at quarterback coach without talking to him first. Rodgers said, quote, "Well, I thought that was an interesting change, really, without consulting me." So, CC, how big a deal is changing quarterback coaches without Aaron Rodgers' consent, and how big a deal is his unhappiness at this point in his recovery process?
Well, we know as broadcasters with Fox that we have certain people on the staff within the organization that personally work with us. Now, we probably have attachments to certain members of the staff who do more work with us, help us with our information. And if they were to leave and you didn't have any type of knowledge of it, or you couldn't stop it or anything, like, we would be very upset. Now, as a quarterback, if your offensive coordinator is not the head coach, which, you know, in Green Bay, we know that they've had some, you know, who's going to call the plays, who's not going to call the plays. I think this is criminal. You have one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. What would it take just to call him and ask him, Aaron? Well, no, forget asking him. Aaron, we're getting ready to make a change at quarterback coach. Is there anyone that you might think be interested? Or these are the three coaches that I'm interested in. Do you know any of these guys?
Well, Cece, what about calling him and saying, we want to make the change?
What do you think?
Should we?
Yeah.
Like, I understand.
Well, no. If you've decided to fire the guy,
but my question is
you've
this,
already decided to fire him.
Why would you decide to fire him if Aaron Rodgers likes him? I understand that with a coordinator or a head coach, even a player such as Aaron Rodgers cannot dictate that. You told me Eli Manning doesn't get to pick his coach when Ben McAdoo went there. I understand that. But the quarterback's coach, there's only one quarterback on Green Bay that matters. It's Aaron Rodgers. He likes the quarterback's coach. There's no reason to believe it's not like, well, Aaron Rodgers hasn't reached his potential. He's playing as well as any quarterback ever.
Right.
Why would you even make this move if Aaron Rodgers doesn't want you to?
Who is the head coach of Green Bay Packers?
Say it again?
Who's the head coach of Green Bay Packers?
Mike McCarthy.
Mike McCarthy has coached more quarterbacks than Aaron Rodgers has had good coaches. So Mike McCarthy is a quarterback coach, offensive coordinator. So there's no need to tell Aaron, but I am going to inform him as far as the organization and how we're going to move forward. Because I believe a lot of the stuff, Mike McCarthy, he has done it in the past, and he can take on some of that burden because he's calling the plays in Green Bay.
So to be clear, because you said no reason to tell him, you're saying there's no reason to ask his permission, but you've got to run it by him.
You don't know. The National Football League, not about that. I don't care how good the players are. Peyton Manning, I don't care. Tom Brady. If I'm deciding to fire a guy as the head coach, no, I don't have to go to the star to tell him that.
Let me ask you this, though, CC. When you were at the Vikings, if they were changing wide receivers coaches, they wouldn't ask your blessing for it? I understand not head coaches or coordinator, but wide receivers coach? They wouldn't. No? Wow.
No, Denny Green, I had a job, all right? Run the locker room. He ran the team, okay? I ran the locker room. He ran the team.
Okay.
He controlled the coaches. He controlled the personnel. And there wasn't a time that we had a relationship that he didn't make that very, very clear.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
Would not have thought that.
Yeah, me neither. That's fine.
All right, back to the New England Patriots. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes things are better with a friend by your side. Look at Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. Together, they're headed to their 8th Super Bowl. Together, they won 223 games since Brady took the reins in the 2001 season. And together, they have made owner Bob Kraft a very happy and a very rich man. Bill Belichick spoke glowingly about his quarterback earlier in the week.
Well, there's no quarterback I'd rather have playing for my team than Tom Brady, so glad I have him.
You didn't expect like more than an 8-second sentence.
I mean, that was about as loving as you get from one Bill.
That was a ton. Yeah. That might as well have been a Hallmark card. Nick, let me start with you. Do you think this could be Brady and Belichick's last game together? Forget Super Bowl, but just last game together as we move on to next season?
All right, so that would mean either Brady or Belichick are either retired or somewhere else next year. So we know that Brady is not retiring and that Brady is not going anywhere. So you can remove him from the equation. I feel like we know that Bill Belichick's not retiring. So then the only option left is, could Bill Belichick be somewhere else next year? Could he be? I don't think you can say it's 0%. And the reason I don't think you can say it's 0% is we would not know. We do not know, I should say, how bothered Belichick is by everything that's gone down the last few weeks. From the Seth Wickersham report up to what we discussed yesterday, which was Jonathan Kraft, saying Brady's going to be done when he wants to be done. I mentioned at the end of the show yesterday, power is a zero-sum game. And when one person gains power, that person being Tom Brady, someone has to have lost it. That would have been Bill Belichick. My guess is that overall he's very happy where he's at. But the reason I say we wouldn't know his happiness level is Belichick's not going to let anything distract him or the team from the objective at hand, which is winning the game Sunday. Now, if he is really bothered by this, he will have endless options. So could this be their last game together? I'm not going to say there's no chance. I think it's very small, but yeah, I think this could be their last game together, depending on how much Bill Belichick cares that the paradigm has shifted slightly from him, as Cece mentioned, totally running the team like Denny Green did, to him running all facets of the team except for his star quarterback.
I think this is a non-issue. I think there's 0% chance that this is their last game. You said well, Bill Belichick won it, but he doesn't want to. I don't believe what you said, that there's endless options, because there's not owners that would just give him carte blanche. There's not teams that he could just take over and fill it with a staff. He can't change the personnel department. He can't change the way they do things just overnight. It has taken him almost 20 years to build the business of the New England Patriots. He can't go anywhere else. He can't run that system just anywhere. It's just like the greatest people at doing something, we always try to find them another job. Nick Saban, every month, he's going somewhere else to Alabama. No, these guys are icons in their business, and they've had failure at other places. They realize this is the best path for them to victory. They're doing what they want to do. Both of them are at the height of their profession. When are we going to stop doing this from a media standpoint? These people are not quitting. You don't become these type of iconic figures and just walk away from football. This is their life. This is their contribution. They are teachers. Where else can they teach football like this? If they were educators, if they were professors, they would be teaching at graduate school. What is graduate school? That is Alabama. That is the New England Patriots. So I think this is a non-issue. I think Tom Brady and Bill Belichick get the opportunity to win a couple more Super Bowls, and I'm looking forward to watching them.
Go ahead, Jenna.
Nick, don't you think that even with all this off-field kind of conversation about what's happening, and there's maybe a little dissension in the ranks and maybe who's really in charge and whatnot, don't you think all three are better off with all three in place?
Oh, yeah,
don't you think Brady is
absolutely.
at his best with Belichick, and Belichick is at his best with Robert Kraft? And I mean, all three of them need all three of them in place for this machine to work. So we can dance around and assume that maybe this one, this. But if all three aren't in place, this isn't the same product as if they go elsewhere.
I agree, and I don't think anyone's going anywhere. The point that I'm trying to make is that if Belichick were furious, just broiling with anger about the Garoppolo thing, we wouldn't know it. Like, Belichick is amazing at staying focused at the task at hand. So I agree with Chris that this is, I didn't put it at 0%, so I guess I don't 100% agree with Chris. But for the most part, there's no reason to believe this is their last game. The point that I'm making is with most guys, like take the guy we talk about all the time in the NBA, with LeBron. When LeBron's upset about something, we know it. He's subtweeting. He's saying weird quotes. Like, Belichick's the opposite. He's not letting any distractions come into place. I want to talk about one other side of this with you, CC, before we move on, and that is how amazing it is that Tom Brady, who's 40 years old and he's favored to win his 6th Super Bowl on Sunday, that the discussion about Brady retiring does not exist. That Brady has made it so clear to the world, I can keep playing at this level, I want to keep playing at this level,
and I will
keep playing at this level, that the idea that he's going to do the John Elway and walk out on top, it does not exist. It existed more last year going into that Super Bowl. So at least a bit of a question. Could Brady retire if he finally breaks Montana and Bradshaw's 4 Super Bowl record? This year, he has made it clear through his documentary, through his own marketing stuff, and through his level of play, he has no interest in walking away. It's amazing that he has essentially rendered that storyline moot.
Last year, it was not on the board. That was a media-created question. Like, if there's no question that he's not going to walk off at the Super Bowl 52, well, how in the heck do we think that after being suspended for the start of his 16th season and then culminating with coming back from 28-3, that it would be on the board? Like, this is all just stuff created. He has told us, and he's been telling us for 3 years. He just didn't just start with the TB12, the Tom versus time. Tom Brady has been saying this for 3 years, that he wanted to play until his mid-40s. His wife admitted it a couple times, and Tom Brady's been consistent about it. We just keep trying to get Tom to do something else. But Tom is doing what he's called to do, and that's pick up them Lombardi trophies.
All right, we'll take a break. Coming up, let's talk about some basketball. KD had some strong words when it came to LeBron last night. We'll discuss next on First Things First.